And we're back again for another chase for the championship. The Big Ten ACC Challenge is now behind us, but the action on the court is not slowing down at all, with all but one ACC team returning to conference play this weekend. We've got a lot to get to today, so let's get right to it, shall we? Yes, our game of the week, a top 10 showdown at the Dean Dome, but it wasn't really the close game we were expecting. The 6th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes came into Chapel Hill. No other way to say this. They just blew out the 7th-ranked UNC Tar Heels, winning this thing 74-49. Covering the Tar Heels for us is WNCN's Alyssa Ray, who joins us now live. And Alyssa, only 49 points from the Heels in this one. I just got to ask one simple question. What happened?
Yeah, well, we can contribute it to two things, Chris. First, Ohio State's defense is one of the best in the country, and they definitely looked like it last night. Second, Carolina's offense was the worst it's been in years. The Heels shot 27.4% from the field, the lowest ever in the Dean Smith Center. The 25-point loss was also the worst in Roy Williams' career at UNC.
I've never felt so sorry right now as I feel, whether it's standing in the post or whatever. I've just got no answers. It's a frustrating feeling. I mean, we call a play and guys can't even remember what. That's blaming them. I'm not blaming them. It's bad coaching.
We got to come into practice, be focused, or watch the film, learn from it, and then prepare for Virginia. We can't just sit here and dwell on this loss because Virginia's a great team and we know what they bring. So we just got to lock back in.
He had a very tough time dealing with Ohio State's big men after freshman forward Armando Bacot left with an injury. How much really did the Heels miss him there going down the stretch?
Well, not only did they need his size to defend Caleb Wesson and the Buckeyes' other big guys, but they also missed him on offense. Bacot averages 10.5 points per game and nearly 9 rebounds. He's a playmaker and is another weapon when Cole Anthony is contained. He's a freshman who's one of the top 4 scorers on this team and is coming off his career-high 23 points and 12 rebounds against a ranked Oregon squad in the Battle for Atlantis tournament. This is what Coach said about his injury after the game.
A sprained ankle, and it was swollen by the time he got to the locker room. So my guess is he'll be out a while.
I thought he just kind of stepped on someone's ankle, but initially that's what I thought. But now I saw him kind of go down in pain, and he was kind of screaming. It scared me a little bit to see him go down like that, and I knew immediately he was going to need help.
No, had all of us gasping back here. Now, it doesn't get any easier for the Tar Heels moving forward. They take a trip up to Charlottesville for another top 10 matchup with Virginia. I know a team and a place that you're awful close to, yes. And how does UNC turn things around up there with a win in that one?
I'm a Virginia Tech grad, Chris, and you know that. But the irony of Sunday's game is that both these teams were blown out last night. The Cavaliers lost 69-40 to Purdue. These are two teams that both lost a lot of playmakers to graduation and, of course, the NBA draft. As we saw last night in their respective games, neither team is offensively where they need to be, and both are going to be fired up to turn their early seasons around. As for North Carolina, Roy Williams said Cole Anthony wasn't feeling very well yesterday. They hope that he is 100% on Sunday, and with Armando Bacot out, the Heels are going to have to find their identity and fast if they want to win at JPJ Sunday. Chris?
All right, thanks a lot, Alyssa there. The Tar Heels are going to be, won't be the only ones looking to rebound from a big loss in that game on Sunday. Virginia went on the road last night and got pounded by Purdue, losing this thing 69-40. Joining us now live to take a closer look at the Cavs is WRIC's Natalie Calabit. Natalie, before we get into last night's game, how do you see Virginia bouncing back and getting a W against UNC?
Yeah, Chris, first of all, they're at home. Virginia only lost once at JPJ last year, and they've had the best home record in the ACC over the last 7 seasons. Mamadi Diakite had a lesser role on last year's team, but played well against the Tar Heels, scoring 6 points and blocking 4 shots. He'll need to step up.
All right, let's get into last night. Virginia is used to low-scoring games. I mean, we see them all the time. It's kind of their thing, but usually they're the one shutting down the other team. The Cavs only scored 40 at Purdue. I mean, easy question here. What happened?
Chris, the surprising thing was the Virginia defense, which is known for being one of the nation's best. Those 69 points that Purdue scored easily broke the previous season high of 55. And the Boilermakers, well, they shot 50% from the field in the first half. Bennett said his team simply did not get the job done.
Our defense, which is what we've tried to hang our hat on when you're struggling to score, couldn't stop them inside, couldn't stop them outside, couldn't keep them off the glass. So those are usually, it's a recipe for disaster, and great atmosphere, terrific. It's as good as it gets.
Well, I like how straightforward he is, but Are there any positives you can take away from last night's loss? Anything at all?
Yeah, Chris, I mean, this is a really young UVA team, and Virginia coach Tony Bennett praised Purdue coach Matt Painter for his game plan last night, especially how the Boilermakers defended Mamdi Diakite, which we know is not easy.
Hit a couple outside shots, and he got some open looks, and they made it hard. They trapped the post when we threw it inside. That's what we try to do, and that's tough. You gotta, if you do that and you can get it out, you can find some open looks. But so they took any post-up opportunities away and basically made us a perimeter outside shooting team, which has been a challenge.
And a few more positives. Cody Statman came back after a long illness and played 24 minutes. It was a good experience for the young players, too, to get a taste of a tough road atmosphere against a solid team. That's usually in the NCAA tournament. And, Chris, the cliche is that coaches are able to teach better after a loss than a win. The Cavaliers will need to learn quickly with UNC coming to JPJ on Sunday.
Yeah, that is very true there. Thanks a lot there, Natalie. We're definitely going to be keeping a close eye on that game on Sunday. Great stuff. Really appreciate your time there. Moving on here, Notre Dame. They've had a lot of success in the Big Ten ACC Challenge since joining the league, but it is a little different kind of test for the Irish this year. They had to go on the road to face third-ranked Maryland. WTTV's Chris Swidlick is covering the Irish.
Mike Bray's Fighting Irish cruising into the Big Ten ACC Challenge, riding a 6-game win streak, and only in the overtime rally to beat Toledo and South Bend was a test. So, facing third-ranked Maryland in College Park would be quite the task. And the Terrapins rolled 72-51. Notre Dame getting nothing from Rex Pfluger and TJ Gibbs, a combined 0 for 13 from the field. John Mooney racked up a double-double, but a rough loss in College Park.
That was varsity versus the JV tonight. We were the JV, the varsity toyed with us tonight, and hopefully we can rebound a little bit because we've got a league game on Saturday. We have not played against anybody like that in a while, even in the ACC, who just is out and switching and on you and another big body. So again, they're really impressive, and I'm glad they're not in our league.
Next up for the 6-2 Irish, back to the ACC, where they'll host Boston College in their conference home opener in South Bend. Covering Notre Dame, I'm Chris Woodlick.
All right, good stuff there, Chris. Taking a closer look at the upcoming schedule for the Irish. They're going to be back in South Bend for 2 games in the next week. They're going to square off with Boston College on Saturday at 2, and then it's back to non-conference play when Detroit Mercy comes to town. That is going to be Tuesday at 7. Now, last season, NC State took a trip up to Madison to take on Wisconsin in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. The Wolfpack came up short on that one. So as WNCN's Todd Gibson reports, they were looking for just a little bit of revenge last night when the Badgers came to Raleigh. Todd?
A year ago at the ACC Big Ten Challenge, Wisconsin knocked off NC State 79-75, a loss that many people felt kept the pack from the NCAA tournament. On Wednesday night, NC State was bound and determined not to see another quality win slip away.
I think it's real important. Last year, obviously, we took a loss to them, but I think it was important for us to just show teams and show everybody that we are a good team and we can hang with the best of them.
Definitely more important. Now that I realize it now, it's definitely more important that we get these key wins early in the season and then try to get some of those key wins when we go into conference play. Because right now everybody's good and we just got to keep playing hard.
I don't look too far down the road. This was a big game for us because it was the next game. They beat us last year, and we knew they were going to come in and play hard and make it tough for us. So I think it was a good win just because they made us grind it out, and I think we got better from it, and it's something to build on.
It was very important for us, especially coming off that loss to Memphis. Just wanted to get guys, back going, get our offense back rolling, get our defense back where it needs to be, and I think we did that tonight.
Was it a measure of revenge too, or is it just the next game?
Just the next game for us. But like I said, we still had a bad taste in our mouth from last game, and this is a great game for us. Be able to get another win for the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and looking forward to getting back to practice and getting better and get ready for the next game.
Well, it's great. I hope it goes a long ways. I hope Wisconsin gets everything together and they go and win the Big Ten. Anytime you play a Power 5 team that, certainly playing a good conference, a strength of schedule game. It's a team that's going to have some great wins as they get going a little bit. And so I'm happy to have it.
0-1 in league play, the Pack jumps back into the ACC fray on Saturday, traveling to Wake Forest. Then NC State has 5 straight non-conference games. Following the Wolfpack at PNC Arena, I'm Todd Gibson.
Good stuff there, Todd. That game in Winston-Salem against Wake Forest starts at 2 on Saturday, and then the Wolfpack will be able to rest up with more than a week off before their next one. And you know, those Demon Deacons are going to be looking to rebound from a big loss last night at Penn State, and as WGHP's Danny Harden reports, Wake is oh so happy to be home.
Wake Forest back to practice after a busy week that had them traveling the country. 3 solid games out in California at the Wooden Legacy. The Deacons beat Charleston, beat Long Beach State before giving Arizona a tough challenge in the championship game before losing by 7 points. Then it was over to Penn State for the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Wake came out flat, lost by 22. But Penn State is a pretty good team. They already have wins over Syracuse and Georgetown. One of the bright spots so far for the Deacons, Olivier Sarr. He's only started 2 games, but he leads the team in rebounding and blocks and is second in scoring.
You know, when you stereotype basketball players, a lot of the players that come from overseas to the States, they're big guys, a little bit more skilled and face up, if you will. And we're asking Olivier to do something that he wasn't comfortable with when he first got here, to be honest with you. I think adding the weight, beneficial. Understanding the physicality, beneficial, but still knowing that you do what you do.
And what Sarr is doing is posting double-doubles. He has 4 of them this season. Well, after 6 consecutive games away from home, the Deacons finally are back at the Joel Coliseum on Saturday when they host NC State. Covering the Wake Forest basketball team, I'm Danny Harnden.
All right there. Thanks a lot, Danny. And Georgia Tech got the ACC out to a great start last night with a win over Nebraska down in Atlanta. WJBF's Brendan Robertson is covering the Yellow Jackets for us.
The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets picking up their 4th win of the season on Wednesday night, beating Nebraska on the flats 73-56 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Michael DeVoe showing once again why he's the leading scorer in the ACC with 26 points to lead the Yellow Jackets, his 5th 20-point game of the season. Head coach Josh Pastner loving the way his defense shut this game down in the second half. They held Nebraska to 25% shooting from the floor over the final 20 minutes.
This is the one thing that we can control because that's an effort. You know, defense is about how hard you stunt, multiple efforts, multiple plays during a possession. It's a you're flying around like your hair is on fire type of mentality defensively. It's a motor. You can't be good defensively if you're cool, casual, or cute.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to do. That was our objective, was to stop them from shooting that many threes and containing them. So we did a really good job tonight.
Up next, a couple of big ones for the Yellow Jackets. They will host Syracuse this Saturday for their 2nd conference game of the year, then travel to face number 8 Kentucky in Rupp Arena the following weekend. With the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, I'm Brendan Robertson. Back to you.
Thanks a lot there, Brendan. Now that we've had a look at all the games in that Big Ten ACC Challenge, here's the final scoreboard. Big Ten coming out on top, beating the ACC 8-6. It's the first time the Big Ten have won the challenge since 2015. Well, with that Big Ten ACC Challenge now in the rearview mirror, the focus turns to another early weekend of conference play, and that means some high stakes both on and off the court around the ACC. Joining us now to take a closer look at the numbers is Jason Logan from Covers.com. And Jason, how big did those big matchups we see in the Big Ten ACC Challenge shake up the odds for the teams to win the big dance in the spring?
Sure. So we saw Louisville's win over Michigan make a lot of noise, actually. The Cardinals get pushed up alongside Michigan State as co-favorites to win the NCAA tournament at plus 900. We saw Duke plus 1,100. UNC kind of bump back a little bit, plus 1,300. And then we saw Virginia take a big fall back after a slow start to the season. They can be had anywhere from 16-1 to 25-1 right now, depending on where you're betting. So Virginia falling out of favor with the odds makers.
Apparently. Now, ACC play picks back up this weekend starting Friday night when the Duke Blue Devils visit the Virginia Tech Hokies. I just have one question. What version of Coach K's team are we going to see? The one that lost to Stephen F. Austin? God, please not that one. Or the one that just knocked off Michigan State?
Well, what fueled that win over Michigan State were turnovers and transition buckets off of those stops. They forced Michigan State into some early mistakes, had 14 total turnovers on the game from the Spartans, and that's what the Duke Blue Devils do best. They're among the best teams in the league at forcing those mistakes, averaging 18.2 forced turnovers per game. Virginia Tech here off back-to-back losses to some good teams. Lost to Dayton, lost to BYU. The thing about the Hokies, though, is they take care of the basketball. They don't turn it over. They're averaging just 10.5 turnovers per game. That's 14th fewest in the country. They've also played Duke very, very tough in recent years. 3-2 straight up, 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 meetings with Duke. I think this one's a little closer than Coach K would like.
Now we get another big one on Sunday when North Carolina visits Virginia. With both teams coming off losses to Big Ten foes, which one has the best chance of avoiding a second straight loss this weekend and getting back in the W column?
Yeah, we saw North Carolina just get run out of the gym against Ohio State on Wednesday night. The Tar Heels came into that game banged up, and they left even in worse shape. Armando Paquette, that big man, he rolled his ankle, a nasty ankle injury. He probably is going to miss this weekend here. They were really hoping that freshmen Jeremiah Francis and Anthony Harris were going to come out and make their debut. They dressed, they warmed up, but they didn't play. Maybe we get to see them against Virginia. It's going to give the backcourt some added depth. Virginia comes home after that rough loss to Purdue. They're 51-29 off a loss under Tony Bennett, which sounds pretty good, but by ACC standards isn't a great rebound rate in terms of coming off a loss. However, since 2015, they have been 6-1 coming off a rare loss. This is always kind of a mismatch in tempo. You always see North Carolina like to push the pace and Virginia playing that snail's pace. However, with North Carolina missing a lot of firepower and just not scoring the way they normally do, I like Virginia at home in this matchup.
All right, that's Jason Logan, the man with the plan, always crunching the numbers on that calculator. Always a pleasure. Thanks, Jason. All right, there are 15 teams in the ACC, but only 14 in the Big Ten, so that means somebody had to sit out of the challenge. And this year, it was Virginia Tech. As WFXR's Jermaine Fell reports, the Hokies might have been off this week. Oh, but they've still been busy.
The Virginia Tech Hokies men's basketball team over the last 2 weeks went 2-2 with a home win, scoring 100 points over Delaware State. Then over at the Maui Invitational, Tech opened things up with an upset win over then number 3 Michigan State, followed by losses to Dayton and BYU in the third-place game. Their redshirt freshman Landers Nolley, the second, again, balling, shot calling, averaging 20 points in his 3 games in the Maui Invitational, including his game-high 22 points in the upset win over the Spartans. He earned ACC Freshman of the Week honors for the second time this season, and here's what Nolley and head coach Mike Young had to say about the big win.
When you prepare and play and practice and go hard every day, the guys, you just start to believe in each other, and listening to the coaches, it just becomes natural, and you do what you do in practice, and that's how you be successful.
Play the game the right way. Let's see what happens. If we're playing the game the right way and we're playing hard and we're playing together as a group and we're about the right stuff and we're sharing and not turning the ball over, you know, I could have said that last year with that bunch I had. That's what we look for as coaches. And if you do that, you're going to give yourself, you know, a chance to win every game.
Now, next up for Virginia Tech, the Hokies get back into ACC play with a Friday night game at a sold-out Castle Coliseum against the 10th-ranked Duke Blue Devils. Then next Wednesday, they host Chattanooga. Covering the Virginia Tech Hokies, I'm Jermaine Farrell.
All right, my man. All right, Virginia Tech's game against Duke is just one of the big slate of early season conference games around the ACC this weekend. There are 7 games this weekend, so let's take a look at that full schedule. The weekend gets started with that big matchup in Blacksburg with Duke on the road to take on Virginia Tech. The Hokies beat the Blue Devils in that game last year, so this one could get interesting. Then tomorrow night at 9, the top-ranked Louisville Cardinals host Pitt. Those teams might be new to the ACC, but they know each other very well from their years in the Big East. Then on Saturday, don't sleep in too late, Syracuse heads to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech. That one tips off at noon. Then starting at 2, a pair of ACC matinees. Notre Dame and Boston College will both be looking to rebound from losses this week when they square off in South Bend. And NC State has that short road trip to take on Wake Forest there up in Winston-Salem. At 2 on Sunday, the 17th-ranked Florida State Seminoles host Clemson. And then the ACC weekend wraps up when 7th-ranked UNC visits 5th-ranked Virginia at 4. Now, we told you before, both those teams got blown out last night, so neither are going to want to lose 2 in a row for sure. We're going to recap all of those games and look ahead to some intriguing non-conference matchups. When Chase for the Championship returns next week, we're out of stuff. Come on, that's way too short. We'll see you next Thursday right here at 7. Until then, enjoy the action on the hardwood. I can't believe we're done. We got more basketball, right?